I think it's on.
It's on?
It's on. Yeah. So I was saying for the weed epidemic, or not the weed epidemic, the marijuana revolution, I should say, I guess, or whatever. My theory posed the boozy here, or whatever he wants to be called. I don't know what to call him.
It's that boozy and bud.
Oh, it just negative all up in here.
Bud and boozy.
You know what I mean? So like, fucking all right. This is what I'm thinking. Like the climate of the culture, the marijuana revolution. Like I feel like 2016, like with the elections, that it's likely the likely candidate will probably be, or the biggest run will probably be Rand Paul. I feel like just, and not to say that he's a savior, but just to push, like, because he's like a conservative that kind of behaves like a leftist. And I feel like just so that he could turn the corner on people that might be conservative but might be against cannabis. So I feel like he might be just a nudge to push it over, right? And I feel like in pretty much, or like whoever they prop up, I feel like, but most likely it'd be a Republican. So that's what I'm thinking. Rand Paul, it's like perfect for the climate, somebody like that, like, because that seems to be like Ron Paul, that's who like a lot of the weed heads would cling to in general, and a lot of people, and some, it depends on who you are, but a lot of weed heads, I feel like if they're political at all, they're probably aware of Ron Paul and Rand Paul. So I feel like they'll look at him like a savior, and they think that switching the culture to a cannabis-based culture where like pretty much it would, like a lot of the, I guess we would say like the manufacturing jobs would be weed oriented or cannabis oriented. I'm just think my take on it would be that the whole thing, I think that the bubble has already bursted and now it's a perception bubble.
I agree.
I feel like weed, the bubble has already bursted. I feel like dabs are the future for weed. It's like, I feel like all outdoor crops, as far as like inhaling it, that will all be converted into wax, because it's, in a lot of ways it's cleaner. It just doesn't smell as bad, like, you know what I mean? Because I guess they're bringing around kids and stuff. You got the pen.
It's less of a hassle.
Yeah, you can smoke a pen in public, I guess, and nobody would even know. And you can hit it one time. It's not like weed. Weed's so redundant that you just keep smoking.
Vapes, all that stuff.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like, since I feel like the bubble has burst. That's like the housing bubble bursted before it actually, it's bursting well before it hits the news. Like, yeah, this shit burst.
Word.
And I feel like the value of weed is dropping every day dramatically. Like the actual value of buds itself. Now, as far as the other cultures that come off of weed, like paper, oil, milk, and other things of that nature, clothing, of course, and all types of things that you can make, ropes and all types of shit that you can make from hemp fiber and all that. But I feel like people think that weed is cooler somehow than cotton somehow, but it's just like trimming. Like people think that we'll legalize weed and that this thing's just gonna be all hunky dory and everything. Like something's gonna change. Like the landowners have somehow they're no longer landowners. I feel like the landowners will switch. You see a lot of the Asiatics or people from the East, Hindus and Asians, buying up America for pennies on the dollar. So I feel like a lot of the landowners, their faces might change, but it's a lot of, just a shift really. And I think that people in the first few years, they're like, yeah, weed's legal, yeah, I'll trim and all that, right? And then after like 4 years of the mind-numbing trimming and it being really no different than picking cotton, they'll realize like, wow, this is what we begged for and this is what we got. Like, instead of positioning themselves in maybe a different way, because I feel like the bubble has already burst, and I feel like our concerns should be even past legalizing weed. It should be well past that at this point. But I don't know. What do you think as far as the climate? Where can it go? What will people even think about in 20 years? Like,
I don't know, man. I think with the legalization and everything, I feel like, the same as you, as far as when it gets to a point where it's legalized, it is going to just make it more numb to the people, as far as like, oh, that's no big deal. Like, what's the next step? Over in Portugal, I know that they legalized all drugs at one point, and they thought it was going to be some crazy backfire, like people were going to just run rampant in the streets, but honestly nothing really changed. It was like the people that smoke weed kept doing it. Actually, they showed like a drop off in the younger kids doing it because it wasn't as cool anymore because it was legalized. And people that did heroin kept doing heroin. It wasn't like, yo, heroin's legal, let me go try that.
Yeah, because if you do heroin, you have a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So looking forward, like you said, I think we really need to focus on other things rather than just legalizing it. Like, I see the benefits as far as like economic growth, but I just don't think that is gonna just be enough to where it's like there's a bigger problem at hand as far as where we're gonna get extra money for. We have to just get away from like, okay, we're gonna just open up a couple dispensaries here and there. I don't know. I think maybe like the medical movement is gonna be a little bit heavy-handed on it when it starts getting legalized in more states as far as for medicinal and whatnot. Because I feel like with healthcare and everything,
they don't want to cover that Medicare
Exactly.
and Medicaid. Medicare and Medicaid don't want to pay to keep people stoned. They don't want
Exactly.
to pay for that.
So, but I feel like if they ever do get their hands on it, they're gonna make it even worse. Because I deal with insurance right now for medical, and they, like you said, Medicare or Medicaid don't want to pay for barely anything.
You think they just sell the CBDs, the ones that have no THC and all that?
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes. So, I mean, I really don't know where it's gonna go in the future. I mean, as far as the presidential race, I mean, I know probably Hillary is going to be a big candidate. I don't know where she stands on the legalization or like decriminalization on that.
Yeah.
But I feel like what you're saying with Rand Paul, man, he probably has like a couple, I don't know, like...
I just don't trust anyone politically.
Oh, most definitely.
And the Paul family isn't a young family. They've been in America for a long time. It's not like it's a powerful old family. Like, it's not like somebody, it's not really any different to me than anybody else that's old money here. I mean, in some ways they're different. In principle, I guess you could say they're different, but it seems like when something is too good to be true, it always is.
Most definitely. I just need a new face up in there to lie to me. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, like I feel like Obama got black people involved in politics and younger people involved to get them to care again. And now young people and black people think that the system is actually valid or relevant. So I feel like they think that the next step is like, yeah, we get Rand Paul in, the system works, we work. And that keeps the system perpetuated for another 20, 40 years.
But even with the Obama thing, man, it's just like, when that first started, like back in 2007 when it was going into the election, it was like, oh, this big change and, things are going to be different. And you look back and, fast forward like 8 years down the road, it's just like, really nothing.
I say people are broker than ever, really.
Honestly.
And I feel
racial tensions are higher than ever with the police brutality and everything. I mean, like, I'm not saying he's done a bad job, but I'm saying, like...
And weed seems to be the savior to everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks if you turn on the TV, like, it seems like MSNBC, they're all pushing the weed thing, but it's a very small amount of people that will be making off from it, really. Like, people are really clamoring to go back and pick cotton. That's what they really don't understand. That's what I don't like, because growing weed is not necessarily the most fun thing at all to do. Like, it's like growing dandelions or anything like that is a weed and growing.
It's agriculture.
Yeah,
regardless,
it's like farming.
It's growing something.
And when it comes to agriculture, landowners win. If you don't own any land, like, you are nothing. Like, on the grand scheme, like, you need to own land in a sense to really to churn out anything, or you're gonna be renting from someone. So, I mean, there's plenty of people renting and doing the warehouse thing, but
with the landowners, they're going to just get bought out by the big corporations if that's the case. That's what happens with our...
Oh, yeah, people will just shift. The dairy farmers will just start using hemp. They'll start doing hemp milk. It will just shift. The names will just shift. Nothing will change. It'll just be a shift and shit.
It would just be Monsanto of the weed, honestly.
Yeah, probably. You know what I mean?
It'd be like, listen, we're going to own all this land. We're going to distribute everything. There's only going to be like 3 companies. And, that's where you're going to get your bud from.
Yeah, because you got California. They're going to have a governor change soon. And then you're going to have... the almond problem in California takes a gallon of water to produce one single almond. So almond trees are probably done in California unless the world really is like, so what? That California is just not supposed to grow these things. We'll just keep paying you. Like the money can make the land work or something. I don't know, but I just think that they'll probably just shift a lot of those tree crops to weed, or to cannabis, or hemp, or whatever. California, once the new governor comes in, he'll probably do something to get at least hemp grown in California. Makes way more sense than growing almonds.
Word.
You know what I mean? And like, I just feel like that's probably about it. That's probably really like what would happen. California, the West is the shift. In '95, they had Prop 215 or whatever, and it took 13 years, I guess, like 07, 08, right around the housing collapse. Again, that's why I look at it chronologically. Like right around the housing collapse, the green rush happens, and I just feel like it's cause and effect. It's no fucking.
Now you mentioned the gallon of water for the almonds. What do you feel about the restrictions on Cali water, and how they're placing limits on that?
Yeah, I think it got a lot to do with the agriculture in general. I mean, the the Central Valley where they grow a lot of the shit in California, San Joaquin Valley and all that. They cut off the rivers from the Sierras years ago, and that would keep that whole area like a swampland, but now it's a desert because they cut the rivers off for agriculture, and then they grew shit that shouldn't have grown there. So I guess it's just about doing some form of reforesting / rotating of the crops and totally eliminating some crops. I really feel like that's really about it. That's probably what will happen coast to coast once the shit collapses. Because once it comes down, then herbs will be considered more of a nutrient than the foods that we've been given. I feel like because at this point,
everything's processed.
The foods are so far that you can actually go to the herbs and they won't be as far from the process. So like the only nutrients really at this point on this planet, in North America at least, will probably just be in herbs, yo. Like it's not much. The topsoil is so eroded that we kind of have no. We put ourselves in a position where there's no choice, and then it's just a landowner thing where they're like, all right, am I gonna sell and move east, or just stay here and continue to farm Americans that farm my land? Like that's the only thing I can think of, because like nothing really changes. You know, people. Nobody's gonna save anybody. That's why I feel like people think weed is about to save them in a sense. They're just gonna get a 9 to 5 that involves weed, like it's somehow different. Like it's different from working for Marlboro.
Exactly.
Like.
As far as that goes, I think we're past the point of no return as far as what we can do to save ourselves. There's no way we're coming back from this. There's no way we're reversing the effects that we've put out on this planet. Like it's too much. We've like processed too many like open fields. Just the grain situation is crazy with all the corn that we have.
Yeah.
It's just everything is just dumb processed. You know what I mean? Like.
It makes no sense to feed, house, and give animals water.
Just to keep the animals sustained, we use like a third of our water. So it's like ridiculous. So it's redundant. So at a certain point, we got to really look and see like, what if there's any possible way of either slowing this down or trying to like alter to a new path. But I really don't think there is. I think people are just stuck in their ways. I think.
Yeah. I think that's what. But that's the good thing though. The people that are stuck in their ways, they will die. You know what I mean? Like in the next 20 years, they're going to die. You know what I mean? Or the cannabis revolution happens and people realize that herbs are the only way to heal. And that's why I feel like that's what comes with cannabis. And that's what the block is. The major block there is that the healing comes with herbs. And the cannabis is the link back to herbs. And beyond that. So I think that that is more so the block too. Like on a conscious level. And then on an economic level, of course, like, they're going to protect the paper industries and oil industries tooth and nail. So
gotta get that money.
Yeah, I can understand that. I just feel like people think that growing weed is any different than growing fucking anything and being like they look at people look down at people crossing the border, like Mexicans or somebody crossing the border and going to pick raspberries. But it will be no different than picking buds and trimming them. All your fingers are rezzed up and all that. It's probably gonna be different ways, but it's gonna be a lot of guerrilla grows and all that type of shit still. All that's still gonna be happening, but it just feel like it's no different than picking cotton. The landowner's gonna make out, and everybody else is just everybody else. Like,
I think with everything else, it's just the stigma that comes along with weed. Like, nobody wants to, like the people in the government and the higher powers, they just don't want to look soft on drugs. Like, that's the worst thing, because there's still, like, an older demographic that they need to capture as far as, this is who's funding their campaigns, this is who's giving them the money. So, that's the one thing they don't want to look down, soft on drugs. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, it's the comparisons between, weed and alcohol are there. Obviously, while consuming smoke is not good for you in general, the damage that liquor does is way worse. Like, if you're being honest with yourself. So
it's the gateway drug and shit. I feel like sugar or alcohol, same shit. It's the gateway drug. I wouldn't have did nothing else if I'd never got drunk ever. You know what I mean? Energy would be just dumb high, be like a pit bull or something like.
Big tobacco is definitely gonna be the first one in the hand with the hand in the pot for the weed shit. They probably already made like a subsidiary company to act like they're just pro cannabis, and they're just probably owned by Big Tobacco, so they're gonna just
Only people that will make out are the innovators, the real creatives that are like, yo, look, I'm about to spearhead this campaign for cannabis lotions that I really make myself, and then they're gonna get bought out by Johnson and Johnson.
Exactly.
Johnson and Johnson will buy them out, and it's over. You know what I mean? You basically pay them off to to dilute it and sell it back as crap to the masses. So like it just it's never gonna. I don't know what people think. That's the wild thing that be killing me. Like I just really that's what but I understand like Obama definitely couldn't be the black face that legalizes weed. That would have been so much. That'd have probably been even crazier turmoil on him. So I feel like definitely Rand Paul, because he has a white face.
Yeah.
And he has conservative values. He could always just say even Christians says herbs are for the healing in the Bible, so he could even swing that maybe. You know what I mean? He's a Kentucky senator, so I know he's dealing with a lot of people in the Bible Belt. Like
Bible
that.
Belt's crazy.
Yeah.
Man.
So I just be thinking like that he's definitely a perfect person for the climate to place in there, to bring that wall down, to get us all picking cotton again, pretty much. I don't know.
So when it gets to a point where do you think it's going to get to a point where everything is legalized?
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll definitely get there because it will have no value. It will have no value in that between state. I mean, if you just look at California, and I mean, I just look at California like it's 5 to 10 years ahead of everywhere else. So just watching California progress over the last 7, 8 years, that it's just, I just feel like where we're at as far as the value of cannabis is, it's gradually on a steady decline because of the abundance. It's like growing dandelions. It's everywhere. You know what I mean? It really, like, it's literally gonna be worthless to us in a sense. Like we're all gonna grow our own. It will be like having dandelions or tomatoes in your backyard. So at that point, it's just about making yourself valuable still, which is no different than right now. So
right. You just gotta find.
Yeah.
You gotta be the innovator. Exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta be that one to, I don't know, push forward, like you said, and just do something different and just create value within yourself that somebody shows interest.
Yeah. So you invest in yourself so that somebody else invests in you.
Exactly.
And then and it's the same thing. Like, I feel like that's the dumb shit with people that's going to invest into cannabis culture. Like, they're going to really invest into stocks.
Right.
Just buy pounds of weed.
Exactly.
Just buy pounds. Yeah. That'd be the exact equivalent. Just buy. Like, I don't understand why I don't. But that's just the unconscious investment. That's thinking that, you know what I mean, that you can just invest.
But that's taking the normal way of thinking, like that's business, and like, all right, well, this works for everything else. This is the stock market. We're just going to invest in shares in this weed culture.
Yeah, when the stock market is founded off of bricks of cocaine and weed.
Exactly.
At the end of the day,
and nobody really gets rich off the stock market unless you have a lot of money to play with.
The raw. You need the raw. Yeah, you
exactly.
need that raw. You know what I mean? That's it. You need that liquid. And that definitely, I just think that with the stock shit, man, that people invest so blindly that they'll look at it like it's something. That's where the bubble will be created from. Because people will perceive weed to be valuable as it has losing value every day. You know what I mean? Because it's so accessible. It really is it's like air at this point. It's becoming air. So like
it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's literally like going outside and trying to find some dandelions or some crabgrass or something. I don't even know, but I feel like the more it gets accessible, the less valuable it is. It's where we're at right now. But to the people that are ignorant to it, all the people that Rand Paul can switch, all the people that are supposedly conservative, that might just want the medical, or that don't want to really get their hands dirty and just invest in NYSC into that shit.
Exactly.
Those people will all create that bubble that will inflate our stocks in general. Yeah, but in general right now, the banks are supported by the cannabis industry in a black market way. You know what I mean? A lot of the deposits are, basically off. How far away from it is from the crop? That's how I look at all money right now. In general, like a lot of money, how far away is it from the coke or the weed or the guns? Like it's like really the raw liquid debt, like it's coming from that. That's how you monetize anything. It's coming from a commodity, like, you know what I mean? And I feel like America don't produce shit, you know what I mean? But our biggest producers, or our biggest things that's trading as far as value, would be like cocaine and weed.
And cigs.
Yeah, right, and you know what I mean. So and I guess what next would be like Apple computers. I don't even know.
Mac.
Yeah.
Just Apple.
So I just feel like that bubble will be just burst because people will blindly invest instead of investing in their kids and themselves, because they have no confidence in themselves and their kids, and it's just because they don't know themselves. And I feel like it's just wild how, like, I don't know, the weed ain't about to save nobody.
Nah.
That's how I look. That's all I look at it as.
You know what I mean? And people are using probably weed for wrong reasons anyway.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different subject.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, and then you got that's something you got to worry about as far as like the social culture, as far as like when this weed gets pumped into the system. You know, like I'm not against weed or anything, but I just realized that some people will be using it just to like numb pain that they just don't want to deal with. Just like any drug.
It's a crutch. Yeah.
Yeah, just like exactly, it's a crutch. Like they just want to numb. And people use it for different reasons. Like if you're in the hood and you're dealing with some real shit, and you want to forget about that's still being pumped in your system, blah blah blah. And even if you're in the suburbs and you just want to be a little punk ass kid that just wants to smoke weed and not listen to his parents, it's being used for like the wrong purposes. Like you said, it goes back to like the herbs as far as it either helps you or it hinders you. Yeah. So for the most part, I doubt that as many people who smoke weed are really being helped by it.
they're all chasing a high. Everybody's creating a crazy tolerance. That's why I feel like
Yeah.
weed is peaked and it's going to go into the dabs and indoor because it's just becoming more and more artificial. You know what I mean? Really, at the end of the day, like it becoming more and more concentrated, more refined, more and more hyper because we live in the microwave era.
Most definitely.
Everything is hyperized. Like everything is so hyper and you know that we have to have the crystals in that way. You know what I mean? And
that started from like the sour D plants getting planted in the closets and everything with the lights and shit, like all the way up to the dabs and shit. So
yeah,
like you said, everything is gonna get.
it's gonna get to that point where like people. I mean, it's at that point now. I feel like where people only want indoor, and then anybody that has another level of smoking in them, it's just like I mean, weed is nothing. I'm just doing dabs, and weed is kind of just like filler, like a cigarette. Like you know what I mean? And then I think you just need to quit at that point or do another drug, do some real drugs. You know what I mean? At that point, you need to go do something else, yo. Your tolerance is too high, yo. Like, for real, once you reach dabs, yo, and you're like, these are nothing.
Functional of the dabs.
Yeah, it's over. Because that's where it gets, yo. That's where it gets, yo. With the dabs, it just gets to a point where you're like, these are what? What? And if I smoke some weed, it would be a cigarette. If I smoke some weed, I'll be wasting. So, like, I just feel like,
might as well do coke like an adult.
Like an adult, like
do some coke, man. It's like nah.
like, but yeah, like that's just funny though. Like I just feel like weed, it only has a certain peak anyway, as far as drug intake. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
The weed potential in weed is everything but the high. I feel like, you know what I mean? It opens you up and that's great, but as far as like the high that you get off that part, the first time you got high was it. You know what I mean? If you quit for some years, then that was the next best time. There was all the other times we're chasing those two highs. Yeah. I feel like, you know what I mean?
It's like anything. I mean, going to an extreme case with hard drugs, heroin. They say you'll never be as high as your first time doing heroin, so you're just trying to chase it back.
Yeah.
And it's just like, listen, man, with the weed shit, if you're doing it constantly, you're never gonna get what you really want from it.
Yeah.
Because at that point, it's over.
Yeah.
So you either need to take a break or like do it.
Law of diminishing reply or some shit like that. Yeah. Like I mean, it just gets redundant. I feel like weed is the word for weed just be redundant. Yeah. Like, at this point, like it just, and in 10 years, weed will literally just be hemp. I think we'll just look at it as hemp. 20 years, it'd be hemp. Like it'll be all hemp or another. I mean, a singularity word, indoor, outdoor hemp, and then dabs and everything. You know what I mean? Because it's like, as an industrial product, has a high value, and you can definitely use it as the next thing to enslave people with. And as far as recreationally, I mean, we already know. It's just like, it's an experience. I just feel like people, use the experience.
Yeah, like, come on, like, there's, like, the amount of people that actually smoke recreationally is ridiculous. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, the market is so big out there, but I just feel like some people still, it's still taboo in some areas.
Like, who will you sell weed to in 20 years when everyone has it? In 10 years? In 5 years? Who will you sell? You're going to be learning how to make dabs or oils or lotions or other shit like that and learning some shit. That's the only thing you better do to make your value go up, because it will not be any money in growing and selling. You'll be growing for yourself, right? That'd be it. But, shit. Where the hell is that? Nah, but, fucking, I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess that just was something that I wanted to say, because I just felt like, damn, man, with this weed. My mom kept telling me, she's just saying, like, every time she turned on the TV, it's something with weed on the TV. Like, they're just pushing it. And it's just
trying to desensitize the,
the
market, exactly. So they're just trying to make, just keep putting it out there.
Yeah, it's like it's no different than investing in some Florida oranges. Like, that's where it's going to be. And but anybody that doesn't know anything about applying themselves in that realm.
That's another thing you used to talk about, as far as everybody says they want to get into the culture, but what do you actually have to offer?
To the culture itself, right?
So unless you're like a frontier person, as far as finding out the new methods and, like you said, like an innovator,
give yourself
you're
value.
going to just be working a regular job in the weed industry. You're not going to be getting paid more. It's going to be the same thing.
Picking and trimming and pushing it through things to process it. That's it. It'd be no different than hauling wheat. It would literally, and it would just smell different. That's it. That's it. I feel like that is pretty much, when it comes to weed, that's where we'll be at with it, and people will probably just, if you look at California's climate, I feel like they're doing real drugs. At this point, weed is not even considered a drug. They're doing meth. They're doing other drugs because, I don't know if it's because weed is so everywhere and it became nothing that they were like, it's not doing it for us. We've reached the pinnacle of weed, and it's not hitting me like I needed to, and this other thing can.
I don't know, man. I think people that are gonna do meth are gonna do meth.
In general, right? You're gonna hurt yourself.
Yeah,
one way or another, you're gonna hurt
exactly.
yourself.
I think they find. I think they started with weed just because it was there and it's everywhere, and those type of people are just looking for a way.
Yeah.
Just to get to the next level.
Yeah, I guess you could just be like everybody that brushes their teeth.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Trips every 60 days or something. Like it's a random ass fact to say that weed is connected to meth or whatever.
I just feel like if you're that, people. There's a lot of people looking for. I just that numbing sensation just to get rid of like reality, and I feel like more people are destructive than others.
Yeah.
And you're gonna just try to find the way to
hurt yourself.
In a
better way.
As best as you can.
More efficiently.
Yeah. See, that meth is crazy, man. That's a whole different monster.
A lot of method men out there.
Method men, for real. You can be done in like 3 weeks. Whole different person.
Yeah, and it's crazy.
That's some crazy shit right there.
Yeah, and I just feel like it's wild how this shit will transform.
Because you got functioning cokeheads but listen, that's another thing. You thinking these people are clean cut? They probably be doing coke all the time,
Most people you see on TV have drug issues.
Word.
Like a lot of the people you be like, why he was doing coke for 30 years? Like, I'm not surprised.
Keeping it under wraps.
But it's just wild watching this whole transformation happen. And watch how it's a transformation into the exact same situation. It's like really like hit y'all with the same movie again, but part 2. But or like how like they keep coming out with Hawks every 3 years.
Exactly. The remaster. We're gonna just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's like
it's a reboot. The weed reboot.
Because somebody will be 8 years old.
Exactly.
Next year, somebody will be turning 8, and the Hawk that'll be the one that they know. You know what I mean? So it's like that's what be killing me. Like,
with the Batmans be like, yo. Like Christian Bale's Batman.
It be making me feel like Cameron was right, man. Like, you know what I mean? You need to talk to your kids, man. What you
For real.
For real, really don't got nothing to do with the other shit, man.
Nah, but
the schools and all that, fuck all that shit, man. It's poison. Yeah.
That's gonna be interesting though to see how.
That's 7 minutes.
That's gonna be interesting to see how they deal with, like, I think. I don't know. I think they're at a crossroads of how they're gonna market it because of the children around. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying like alcohol, they managed to do with alcohol. I just guess because weed's still in that area of like still being underground, kind of in a mass scale. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, because I think about it, there's plenty of schools with liquor stores or places that sell liquor within a certain amount of feet from.
Listen, everybody's parents, majority of these kids' parents probably having beers when they come home on the weekend, wine. Getting a little trashy,
Or legal drugs like sugar. You know what I mean? Your body don't know the fucking difference. It's just a legal drug. You know what I mean? It's a concentrated substance. So it's like...
Just obesity in the home, same shit.
Like that should not be sanctioned in your house. It shouldn't be sanctioned in... honestly, I feel like certain foods should be more illegal than weed. Like, I feel like anything Monsanto ever produced ever should be... I was just playing.
Everything in the supermarkets.
Yeah, but I feel like, so much... Like, bleached white flour, that should be considered assault if you get it to your kid. Like, that should be no different than, like, you got your kid over there sniffing coke? Like, it should be like, it has the same addictive properties. Like, as, sugar, bleached white flour, coke, they're hitting the same areas of the brain. You know what I mean? But one is sanctioned and one isn't. So it's like, it's just wild how this shit go with drugs. And not shit that ain't even drugs. But burning weed does turn it into a drug. It wasn't a drug sitting there. But then we put that lighter on it and all that, or the hemp wick or whatever, because for the people that's going to be critical of me, like, I'm not using a lighter. I'm not even burning it. I'm just using a vaporizer. You're probably still using heat above 118 degrees, though.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's like the experience, I don't know. I'm not about to spend $600 on a nebulizer and get a cold vapor or whatever. I'm not doing it. I just quit. I won't fuck with weed. This won't happen. It will be no point. I mean, so I feel like
might want
to quit weed and just get back to whatever you good at.
Yeah, just find a passion, yo. Just read a book or some shit. I don't know, man.
Yeah, right.
Do some activities outdoors. I don't know. Fucking
go in any direction as hard as you can.
Seriously, find what you're good at.
Yeah, and it'll let you know like what you should or shouldn't be doing.
Listen, this is still. This doesn't go for everybody. I'm just speaking for. I just feel like the majority of people just use it incorrectly. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that you can't be functional off the weed, but I don't know.
I feel like with weed too, that the people don't know how dysfunctional they are, because it's like over time, you know what I mean? If you're smoking weed, it like I feel like it precipitates in like your tissue over time, like, and you're like you're thinking everything is kind of like you're in a weed state of mind, like everything. Like once you get out of it and you can like detach and reflect on how you were off it and on it, then you really realize like, wow, this shit is killing my energy. Like unless I use it properly in a setting where I'm using it for this one thing, like the amount that I need, not more than I need, and having a purpose for doing it. We ain't doing that shit. People ain't doing it. I mean, you know what I mean? We're doing that shit to unwind or whatever, to distract.
This is a distraction
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you know what I mean?
I forgot my keys so many times with the weed.
Yeah,
I'd be so dysfunctional.
Makes like regular tasks so much more, I don't know, like just...
Yeah, and it just keeps you in a different state of being, and then you don't converse with other people that are in other states because you be in that weed state. You know what I mean? Some weed heads transcend, but it ain't that the normal weed head.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is not for everybody.
Yeah.
But I just feel like the majority of users are using it incorrectly.
Yeah, motherfuckers. 3 minutes.
We at 3?
Yeah, fuck it.